guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we have a brand new build for the channel, and I have to get this done in a very specific timeline because this vehicle is going to go to my wife, so I have to get it done before her birthday, which is also our anniversary. So I have very limited time. I have just picked it up. I'm going to show it to you guys as best as possible without her noticing. It still has a car cover on it right now. I'm going to talk about all the damage, and right away we're going to get into the rebuild because I have so limited time. Let's get to the video. As you can see, that tire is destroyed. There is some damage to the sidewalls. I'm not able to repair it. We have a brand new one over here. Let's pop this up, go get this mated to the wheel, have it sitting right. I'm going to review this build. Down the tires of the vehicle, and that's damage to the sidewall over there. Let's go get this installed.
A few moments later.
Oh guys, you will not believe what I just found. I knew this damage was bad, but I didn't know it was bad. You can tell it's another day. I'm still trying to strip off parts on this vehicle just to ascertain the extent of the damage, and I think I just figured it out. So obviously the main point of contact was on this driver's side over here. I can see exactly where the main impact was, right here. Pushed in the frame loader over here. The apron piece is pushed in, but as soon as I removed the battery box, which is right over here, because I know the transmission mount is broken. We just replaced this on the GMC Acadia build that we did. But I'm looking inside and you can see that right next to the ABS booster pump, that is a really bad buckle. That is very bad. So as soon as I said that, I knew, well, this job just got 10 times harder, because in order to fix that, this whole engine and transmission assembly has to come out from the vehicle. Yes, I was not expecting that. So this build just got a lot harder and a lot more expensive. Alrighty guys, as you can see, this bumper is ready to come off. I think it's actually pretty much good. Yeah, we have it ready to come out now, and then we can keep taking more of the cooling system apart. To get to that transmission cover, like I said, I know for sure it's broken, so we can replace it and then be able to move this into the garage. I also went ahead and popped off the tire on this side. I removed the wheel liner or fender liner, and I go in here and I take a peek. Guys, do you see that? That's a big buckle on the frame rail, and that's not the worst of it. If you look up here, we have another big buckle up on the apron. Super bad. I'm just getting hit with surprises after surprises on this vehicle. It's non-stop, and you can see there's almost a crease in the wheel well over there close to the strut tower. I'm not sure if that's the way it's supposed to be, because sometimes this vehicle have really odd designs, but for sure that is bad on that frame rail over there. Luckily, it looks like there's a place where you can section it back over here, right there. But it still means that the whole engine and transmission needs to come out on this vehicle. So if you're keeping scores, we're not just replacing one frame rail on this vehicle, we're replacing two. That's expensive. Now guys, as you can see, I have the driver's side wheel of the vehicle, and if I go in here, you can see the crack along the transmission. That's why it's all wet in here. Right there, the camera is gonna focus. You can see that crack all along there, and that's because this frame rail was pushed into the transmission. Like I said, I'm super happy that it did not go any further in, and it's just on the cover. which is an easily replaceable part. Go ahead and toss the wheel back on, close things up in this area, start removing things up front. You can see I'm currently drilling the coolant. I'm getting ready to remove the coolant assembly. I'm not sure if I want to remove the front crash bar just yet, but I need to start removing a whole bunch of things and get this thing ready for the engine and transmission removal. It's gonna be a lot of work. Now, as you can see, I have the coolant assembly completely out of the vehicle, and you can see how much this is completely pushed over. That's how much room we have on the right side of the vehicle, and there's almost nothing on the left side. So this impact was obviously this way, and that's not good. It's usually better to have a complete front end impact. So this is going to require some serious framework. But now that we have the coolant system out, I'm able to get down in there and replace this cover that's obviously damaged, and that's why you can see all the transmission fluid built up over there and leaking. Also have another damage to the front transmission mount, as you can see right over there, so that's going to need to be replaced. Without much more talking, I'm going to start replacing that cover so I can fill this up with some transmission fluid, be able to bring this vehicle in the garage and start getting ready to remove this transmission and engine assembly. You know, it never fails. You're working on something and there's always that one bolt that gives you a hell of a time. This transmission covers, a lot of the hardware are all out. Pretty much everything is all out. But if we go over here, that one bolt that's broken up over there has been a pain. Everything else is out. You can see the crack on the transmission cover, but that one bolt over there is been a pain. And it was a pain to remove the other ones, but they're all out. And there's almost no room to get to that one right down there. So I'm gonna keep working on it and hopefully I can get it out. And as you can see, guys, this cover is out and you can clearly see the crack over here. That's why we're replacing it. Now, like I said, the transmission is open, the cover is over there. I'm also currently draining the transmission fluid in this vehicle, as you can see over here, because I actually put in a different transmission fluid in this vehicle to be able to put it in drive and park it here. This vehicle was delivered, it would not shift because there was absolutely no transmission fluid in it. I did not have the right one, but I tossed in some transmission fluid from a different build, from a different vehicle a long time ago that I just had laying around just to get this vehicle moving. Done draining, I'm gonna go ahead and close it up and put the right transmission fluid in the vehicle. And now I have all the transmission fluid drained from this vehicle. It's time to install the new transmission cover. I have over here, it's a brand new one from GM, and I'm ready to throw this in. It does come with a seal right on it, so that's good. As you can see, that's the old one over here. This is the new one. You can clearly see that this bolt over here is missing on the new one. I'm not sure if that's going to be significant. I did look, the part number is exactly the same. So maybe it's just a design change, I don't know. But you can clearly see it's not on this one. Now I'm going to install the new cover. I know it's going to be a bit of a process, so I'm going to set you guys on a time lapse and get this all lined up. Now, as you can see, I was able to install that cover. It was a mission. I had to use the pry bar and kind of move the transmission this way to get the bolts in. I was not able to get one bolt in, but I think that's going to be okay. It's going to be enough for us to get the vehicle in the garage and do the work we need. So everything is secured right now. I'm going to go ahead and get in there, fill the transmission up, and we should be good to go. Transmission fluid over there from GM. I have my fancy make do transmission fluid filler. That's the hole in there. So I made this up a while ago and it works perfectly well. As you can see, it just goes in the hole and you can fill it up here. Guys, big progress. Transmission is topped up to specification. I have a new battery in here, all the grounds, secured wiring. I also made a bypass for the transmission fluid because obviously if I start this up, it's gonna piss transmission fluid everywhere. So as you can see, I put a hose in here, put a zip tie. I hope it holds the pressure. I'm not exactly sure how much pressure goes through those lines, but I have it on that way, zip tie to secure it in place. There's a new battery, like I said, ECUs over here. So we should be technically ready to start this vehicle. So without much more talking, let's get to it. Now I'm just cutting the airbag so it's easier to steer the vehicle. I'm gonna do the same for that one so I can see, and we can move this into the garage. There we have it, much better. That is cut. Excellent. Now it is time to try starting this vehicle.
Beautiful. 10 years later.
Alrighty guys, as you can see, I now have the Buick Enclave in the garage. It was a bit of a mission getting this in here. A big thank you to my buddies, Timmy and Matt. It would not have been possible without this, guys. You know, we did a lot of work in the front end, replacing that front cover. Put it on, put the transmission fluid in it. The vehicle started. The issue is that this vehicle will not shift. It goes into drive, barely, but it won't reverse whatsoever. And I obviously needed it to be reversed out of the spots it was in. I spent so much time trying to figure it out. No luck. I called my buddies up and they helped me. We were able to push this in here. So now it's time to get to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this vehicle lifted on all four corners and have it sitting in jack stands. Because obviously I'm going to need to go underneath to disconnect the drive shaft and the exhaust. That's going to be fun. And then we can start prepping to remove all the whole component that needs to come off in order for us to remove the engine assembly. Get the jack stand. I need to get this engine out of this vehicle as soon as possible. I have a whole lot of work ahead of me. I don't think anyone's going to be attempting to do this at home. So it's going to be a time lapse for most of it. I will try to point out significant things as they arise. lots of big progress over here. There's almost nothing on this side of the vehicle anymore. Connection hoses, wires has been disconnected over here. Now my goal is to go underneath. I need to disconnect the drive shaft and the exhaust, and now we're getting a step closer to having this engine ready to come out. Now guys, I'm working on the right side of the vehicle. As you can see over here, we took the wheel liner out when the vehicle was still outside. I've disconnected the tie rod end, or the complete steering assembly over there. The axle is out, the sway bar link is out, and now this assembly is free on its own. I also disconnected the lower control arm down in there, so that's really good. I'm going to go over to the left side, which is the driver's side, and pretty much do exactly the same thing. And then very soon we're going to be dropping the subframe, and we're good to go. Now guys, I'm under the vehicle. This is the first exhaust manifold over here, and if I scoot in, you can see where the second one over there is. Now the problem is that for some reason GM in their infinite wisdom only decide to have a connection over here. On this second pipe there is nothing. That's the one connection over there, which is perfect, but there's nothing over there, and it's that way up into that muffler box or resonator over there. So I'm not even sure exactly how I'm going to be dropping this exhaust right now, because it just doesn't make any sense. As you can see, I have gone ahead and soaked all the bolts and nuts in some penetrating fluid. Hopefully it comes out good enough. And for the exhaust, I will have to disconnect it all the way back in there, right there.
A few moments later.
All right guys, I can't get the camera down there, but as you can see, I have dropped the exhaust over there. It's removed from that area over there. I just need to pull it forward, and this assembly is ready to come out. The next I'm going to do is disconnect the drive shaft assembly, and I'm going to start removing the subframe, obviously after hooking up the hoist, and then see what needs to come out for this to be ready to go. I have the exhaust assembly out of the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and start working on disconnecting the drive shaft or propeller, depending on where you're from. I have the drive shaft out of the vehicle. Inside the vehicle, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the steering shaft, which is all the way down in here. As you can see, that's the bolt right there that has to be disconnected. And you can see my long extension, but I'm just gonna reach in there. Yeah, bolt is out, and that's good to come. And as you can see, I just disconnected it. It's not a lot of room, but you see there. In this area, I've disconnected the EVEP line. I've also disconnected the main fuel line, which is this line over here. This one has a quick release fitting, which is really good. But this one, on the other hand, you require a fuel line or AC disconnect too. I was able to use this blue one to get it off, so that was good. It's a bit of a pain just considering where it is, but you can definitely get it done. So that's the line. It's disconnected, as you can see. We're just getting closer by every single step we take to removing this engine. All right, so the same way we disconnected the steering shaft inside the vehicle, I'm now going to go underneath the vehicle and disconnect the harnesses that go to the main steering gear that controls pretty much the power steering system. Now underneath the vehicle, those two harnesses over there is what I'm referring to. It's a bit of a squeeze, but we're going to try to get it done. It's time to roll out the big boy. Alright guys, now as you can see, I have the crane set up now. I'm currently working on removing the transmission mount. You can see that the frame is pushed in so far. This is from me prying it. I can't even get to the other bolt over here, so I'm not sure how I'm going to remove that bolt at this time, but obviously it needs to come off to be able to remove the transmission and engine assembly. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's a fourth one over here, and then there's 2 more or 3 more over here. So I'm trying to pry this away so I can have some room to remove that bolt. And now guys, I was able to pry that out of the way. Now it's time to start removing all these bolts that secures the engine assembly. Second one out. Alrighty guys, and just like that, you can see the motor is completely separated from the body of the vehicle, and that was a mission. So now I'm going to show you guys the extent of the damage properly. So when we look from the side of the vehicle, we can obviously see the fender is a little bit kinked, not bad, but you can see how this frame rail has that dip in there. It shouldn't be there. You can see one of the crush zone is completely impacted over there. That should not be that way. It doesn't look like it went too far back over here, so that's good. Obviously the front plate is mangled up, kind of expected. And if we go over here, you can see how this just curves. It's very, very obvious. It should not be that way. It doesn't look like there's any damage to the strut tower or to the wheel housing, so that's not bad. But up over here, you can also see some damage in that area over there. Now obviously this side has the most damage. You can see how destroyed the frame rail is over here. And if we go down in here, you can see that big buckle. That is super bad. That is actually quite bad. You can see where it buckled over here. I don't think I've seen anything this bad before. You can see the damage over here too. So some decent damage for sure. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove this side of the engine mount. I'm going to secure this harness because this is going to stay with the vehicle. And I'm going to start working on removing the ABS pump because as you can see, the damage is right over there. And we're going to need to replace this frame rail. And I believe it goes all the way down here. That's where it is. And the seam is on the other side is right over here. Obviously, there's more damage to this side, but we kind of knew about this already. So when I have everything taken care of on the body of the vehicle, I will now have to go ahead and separate the engine transmission assembly from the subframe. So I can mount the subframe with the steering rack back on the vehicle, install the wheel, close it up, and it's ready to go to the frame shop. Alrighty guys, as you can see, I have stripped everything out as much as possible. It looks pretty much bare. There's nothing here. I removed the insulation parts on the firewall and on the sides over there just to get this as easy as possible. So now it's time to start separating this assembly from the subframe so I can reinstall all of that in here. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Alright guys, now as you can see, I have the subframe installed back on the vehicle. I have a feeling that this subframe is bad. It was difficult lining it up. I'm 80% sure it's bad, I'm not sure. When the vehicle goes to the frame shop, we'll know for sure. But as you can see, the control arm is actually pulled out of the bushing on the left side. You can see what it should look like on the right side over there. So now I'm going to go ahead and completely secure all the suspension components on both sides, toss on both wheels, the damaged reinforcement bar and the lower tie bar, and maybe even the upper tie bar even though it's damaged, and then we should be good over here. Alright guys, as you can see, I have the vehicle back outside. It was a pain pushing this, but big thanks to my friends that actually came out and helped me again. Now it's here. I'm gonna catch you guys tomorrow morning. Now guys, as you can see, the motor is sitting over here. I am gonna open up this transmission side cover one more time just to make sure I did not mess anything up installing it in the vehicle. Obviously, like I said, it was a really tight squeeze. It's possible that I might have knocked something away or done something that is making this vehicle not shift anymore, because when it was delivered, it drove just okay until it ran out of transmission fluid. So I'm going to have to drain the fluid, open it up again, make sure everything is okay in there, and we can move on. And alrighty guys, that's a wrap for today's video. I'm sure you're going to agree with me. A lot of work was done on the Buick Enclave to get it a step closer to being done. We still have a lot more work to get done, but this thing takes time, and that's why it's a review. I'm still waiting for a ton of parts to come in to go on this vehicle. When those parts come in, we're going to keep wrenching, keep throwing more parts, and get this ready to go back on the road for the missus. On that note, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.